Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Unseen Wisdom. Before we jump in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to keep those insightful deep dives coming your way.
Yes, please do.
All right, so today,
Everyone help us grow the channel.
so today we're heading to South Africa. We're going to be exploring a pretty provocative perspective on President Cyril Ramaphosa, his marriage, and all the power dynamics, swirling around.
Yeah, and it's really interesting here. What we're looking at is not like a typical news report or like neutral analysis or anything like that. We're diving into this YouTube video
Okay.
from a channel called Top Malema.
Right.
And the video is titled Not Love, the real reason Ramaphosa married an old woman. And this channel is, they're known for their strong criticism of Ramaphosa and the ANC.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So they just come right out and say that his marriage to Dr. Shepo Motsepe
They do.
wasn't based on love,
Yeah.
but like a straight-up power move.
It's a bold claim, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, they're saying this was calculated.
What?
So to understand this perspective, I think we need to kind of look at Dr. Motsepe's family a little bit, her background.
Okay.
Her brother, Patrice Motsepe, is a billionaire mining magnate.
Oh, wow.
And he's got, massive ties to the ANC. He's been awarded tons of government contracts, and that makes him like a major player in the South African economy.
So they're saying that Ramaphosa basically married into this like super powerful family
That's the argument, yeah.
to get himself in those like elite circles in South Africa.
Right, and maybe even become, bound to their interests in a way.
Okay, so how does the video actually make that connection?
So they use this one example that I thought was really interesting.
Right.
They show a clip of Dr. Motsepe, and she's in this interview, and she's like advocating for support for small businesses.
Okay.
But then they juxtapose that with like images of her family's wealth and influence,
Yeah.
right? You see these like huge mining operations, and it's this stark contrast.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of makes you think, like, is there a disconnect here between her words and the reality of her family's economic power?
It really makes you think about those connections, doesn't it? Like, how much do these personal and family ties actually influence a leader's decisions?
Yeah, that's a big question.
If Ramaphosa is in this elite circle because of his marriage, will he actually prioritize the needs of everyday South Africans?
It's the core of their critique. And the video goes on to like analyze Ramaphosa's public behavior too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they focus specifically on his interactions with these older ANC women.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting.
It does, right.
Yeah.
So there are these clips, and you see Ramaphosa being very affectionate with these women, like publicly kissing them on the lips even.
Whoa.
And then they contrast that with his like very vocal stance against gender-based violence.
It's a really stark contrast.
Yeah, so they're basically asking, like, is this genuine affection? Or is it something else entirely? Is this a performance for a certain faction within the ANC?
Oh, so calculated.
Exactly.
Right.
And, they also point out that if this was a leader from, say, the EFF,
Right, a different party.
yeah, the media would be all over this. But with Ramaphosa, there's this, like, sense of they're going easy on him.
Interesting.
So it makes you think about media bias and how that shapes our perceptions.
Yeah. Who gets scrutinized and who gets a free pass?
Yeah.
And how does that affect how we understand what's really going on?
Exactly.
It's a crucial question,
Yeah.
especially in South Africa with its history of inequality and all the political maneuvering.
It's a complex landscape for sure. And from there, the video goes like way back, and they bring up a really sensitive chapter in Ramaphosa's past.
You mean the Marikana massacre?
Yeah, that's the one. This is like a major event in South African history.
For sure. So for those who might not know, the Marikana massacre happened back in 2012. It was this horrible incident where police opened fire on striking mine workers.
Right, and 34 men were killed.
It was a tragedy.
Yeah, and the video really highlights, Ramaphosa's position at that time. He was a businessman with strong ties to the mining industry.
Okay.
And they point to these statements he made calling for like concomitant action against the workers,
Oh, wow.
which some people argue, contributed to the situation escalating the way it did.
It's a dark part of his past.
For sure. And, now he's the president, and he's talking about social justice and protecting the vulnerable and like championing the needs of the people.
It's a pretty stark contrast.
Right. So the video is using this to question, like, is he genuine? Or is this all just talk?
So are they saying he's actually more aligned with the powerful and wealthy, even though he's saying all these things about helping ordinary people?
Yeah, that's the heart of their argument. They're saying his past actions tell a different story.
It all ties back to that idea that is marriage, right?
Exactly. Like, both his personal and professional choices might be about maintaining his position within that elite circle.
So it's like a web of power that he's caught up in.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that this video comes from a very specific perspective.
Right, the EF.
Yeah, they're a political party that is, like, very vocally opposed to the ANC and to Ramaphosa.
So this top Malema creator is definitely coming from that angle.
For sure. So, it's thought-provoking, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
We have to think critically about where this information is coming from.
Absolutely. Look for other perspectives before you make up your mind about any of this.
It's a good reminder that analyzing political figures and events is never simple, especially in a place like South Africa with its history and all the different political groups.
You gotta do your research and consider all sides of the story.
It makes you think about those alternative media outlets, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, they give a voice to people who might not get heard in, like, the mainstream media.
Absolutely. And whether you agree with them or not, it's important to hear those different perspectives.
To get the full picture.
Exactly.
So, okay, we've gone through all this analysis. But, like, what's the takeaway for us as viewers?
I think this deep dive really shows how much personal connections matter, Especially in a system like South Africa's, where you have all this economic inequality and the history is still very present.
It's like those lines get blurred.
Yeah, and if we're to believe what this video is saying, if Ramaphosa's marriage is really part of this bigger plan to keep him in power with the elites, does that mean real change for the people is even possible?
It's a tough question.
It is. If the system is designed to benefit the people at the top, how much can any one leader really change things, even if they want to?
Yeah, even a president.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the limits of leadership. I mean, what do you think about this, listener? How much power does one person really have to make a difference when they're part of all these, networks and relationships?
Yeah, this video definitely makes us think beyond those simple explanations.
For sure.
Like, there's this whole web of relationships and motivations behind every political decision.
So we can't just take things at face value.
No, you gotta look deeper. Question your assumptions.
It's like a call to action almost.
Yeah.
Be critical. Think for yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
And don't just accept what you hear, even if it sounds like it's coming from someone important.
Do your own research.
Exactly. Keep learning. Keep exploring these issues.
That's how we make informed decisions and create a better world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we encourage you to keep thinking about these things. Research those different viewpoints. Talk to people. And keep searching for that unseen wisdom.
Until next time.
See you then.